The vision of Kids in Crisis would be a world where kids don't need us. Crisis is an interesting word that conjures up all different images in people's mind.
It can be something as simple as just family conflict, and then it can range to food insecurity, housing insecurity, homelessness.
There are kids that come to stay in the shelter that have been victims of trafficking.
Some can be really severe and life-threatening, while others are just maybe finding the tools and the help to support whatever it is you're experiencing.
I think it's tough to be a kid today. Social media, school violence, and we're seeing a lot more depression and anxiety.
It may be mental health issues, it may be substance abuse issues, or divorce or domestic violence. Crisis is really whatever is happening for you personally at that time. The house doesn't need to be burning down for it to be a crisis. Kids in Crisis is an organization that's been around for over 45 years, providing 24/7 crisis intervention, emergency shelter, and prevention services for children newborn to 17 throughout southwestern Connecticut.
One of the biggest barriers to getting help is people didn't know where to go. Who's the first one you call? How do you know when you need help?
The folks here at Kids in Crisis, they have a 24-hour crisis hotline set up with professionals. It's free and it's available to anyone who's in need.
Safe Haven is really the foundation of Kids in Crisis.
We're a short-term shelter. We provide in-house clinical support. We provide in-house medical support for physicals, dental appointments. We also make sure that our psychiatrist and our psychologist meets with them to do an assessment as well. We also find community resources for the family for when the child returns back home to their parents.
The way Teen Talk works is really we were designed as an immediate support to students. We work with the community, we work with the families, we work with the school staff.
Our counselor is where kids are 8 hours a day. To be boots on the ground in the schools is really an important part of the work that we do.
The Lighthouse program is for our LGBTQ plus population, and that's a very vulnerable population. Those kids have challenges that exceed what I think most people even understand.
Kids in Crisis has had such an impact over the 47 years that we've been in existence, but there's still so much more to do.
We are very focused on southwestern Connecticut being our area that we want to be there for and support. We are really looking to expand the programs in Bridgeport because the needs are there, just like they are in all of our communities, but the funds are not as available for the children in those communities to get the services they need, and we're really determined to make that happen.
The texting helpline is another huge area that we feel like we can reach more and more families. And then finally, in the elementary schools. Since COVID, principals from elementary schools have been calling us every week asking for us to come into these schools.
We envision the ability to get into all elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools in the area in the coming years.
That really is the goal, to reach those kids who don't have resources and build the bridge to those resources.
So yes, we've been a success for 46 years, but we feel like we've only begun to scratch the surface.
Life unfolds as we walk through this journey, and we don't always have the answers, and the good news is we don't have to. There's a place like Kids in Crisis in the community that can come alongside us and help us overcome the challenges.
Kids in Crisis is special because of the people. It's special because of the culture that surrounds the organization.
Our donors are our biggest advocates. I can't go into a community that someone hasn't said how Kids in Crisis has been helpful to them. And I think it's that passion and that recognition of the need that really brings donors to us.
The more funding we have, the bigger the impact we can make. Last year, we answered 700 calls from parents and kids in crisis. Our emergency shelter provided over 1,000 nights of shelter for those kids who had nowhere to go. The presence of our Teen Talk counselors in 19 schools helped over 1,500 students. With your support, we can impact more children in need.
For my whole life, I've heard people say it takes a village. And so all of us at Kids in Crisis, we look around this room, we look around, and we realize we can't do it by ourselves. It takes a village. It's not just the social workers in the room next to us, or it's not just the Teen Talk counselors in the schools around Fairfield County. It's everyone in this room. It takes a village, and we're that village.